All right.
Hold on. Okay, we're live.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. We're going to, if you want to address the chair or for the meeting, please raise your hand, and then Karen will authorize you to, to be able to talk, and we'll communicate then. Roll call, Karen?
Sally?
Present, but no hand in the air.
Okay. That's not who. Richard?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
Nancy?
Yes.
Heather?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any changes to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any amendments to the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any public comments that are not related to items on today's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. We have nothing on the consent calendar. So, and we only have one public hearing, which is consideration of a request from Valhalla LLC to provide payment in lieu of providing a portion of required off-street parking at 107 Excel Street. Do we have any public testimony?
You're muted, Grant. I can unmute you. Oh, hold on, we have somebody else here. Okay. So I'm going to unmute Grant and Lila Trask.
Okay.
Okay, now do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Along with Grant and Lila are Doug and Naoma Weldy,
Okay.
and we would like to comment on the Swell LLC's proposed public parking.
Okay.
Could you, since we don't have a copy of the description in front of us, can you give a synopsis or read off whatever information you have from Swell about their proposal?
Let me see if I can find it here. Karen, do you have it readily available?
Yes. Okay, so the letter says, dated 9/10/20 to Mr. Joe Bertignoli. Dear Joe, it is my understanding that you are reviewing our building permit application for our 15-unit housing project to be located at 103 through 109 Excel Street in downtown Petersburg. An issue has come up related to parking, and I wanted to confirm to the borough that our intention is to use the 19.64.120B in brackets, exemption to address our parking space count shortage. Our understanding is that there is a $16,500 payment required to exercise this exemption, and that the payment will be returned to us in 15 years or when the new parking code is adopted if it reduces the required parking count in downtown Petersburg for similarly zoned parcels. We are prepared to make this payment now. Please indicate where this payment should be sent. Thanks for reviewing our project and issuing the building permit. We are excited to get started on construction later this month. Sincerely, Glenn Gellert, Member Representative.
Okay, thank you, Karen, for reviewing on that. I would like to have the committee know that we only have 2 households here represented online, yet there are 10 or 12 households that would be impacted by this decision. We have a hospital on one side of our property, which has a lot of employees, and we have a school complex within a block and a half of the other side. And that means congestion. But we are at a very strong disadvantage at this point as Petersburg residents because we have not been informed about this proposal. And now there's only 2 households out of, as I say, 10 or 12 that would be impacted by that public parking. And we have tried to contact others, but there's almost everyone is out of town or working. I think that they would like to weigh in on this because they would be affected. But right now, you're only going to hear objections from 2 residences, 2 out of the 12 or so. And you won't hear an objection from the school, and you won't hear an objection from the hospital. So I want you to weigh the opinions of 4 of us as though we could represent those who are absent. Would you understand that? Committee?
Thank you, Grant.
Okay, I would like to first of all, I think all 4 of us want to comment, and with your permission, I'd like to be the first.
Go ahead.
Okay, I am wondering if you in Planning and Zoning had heard anything from Swell LLC, why they had never proposed having a parking space underneath the building. You have the square footage, which would adequately take the parking problem and keep it right on their own property, rather than put it out on the street where all the rest of us are affected. So my main point is, this is an engineering problem, and it probably should not be a jurisdiction problem or a hazard, because there is underground parking all over places in the Western world, and it's not anything new. But underground parking underneath this large building would solve the public parking problem that we anticipate. So that's my main objection, that it seems to me that Swell would be able to solve their problem of parking by putting it underneath. I think the soils have been tested. The engineering studies can be checked into, and anyone who knows how to build could put a wonderful parking space for at least 15 cars underneath the building, or they could adapt the building a little bit in size in order to do that. So that's my main part, and this is especially in lieu of the impact that we would have as members of the public and residents around here. They should keep the parking on their own premises. Thank you. Go ahead.
Could I interrupt for just a minute? This is Sally.
Yes, Sally, go ahead.
Yeah.
How many parking places are they proposing to include in their 15 apartment building?
15.
I'll answer that, Sally. It's just a joke. 15.
So 1 for each apartment.
Correct.
And they will provide those off-street.
Correct.
Thank you.
On the street, you can park in.
This is Doug Weldley. May I speak?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Okay, so I just heard that they propose off-street parking. I'm not sure if they're not under their building where off-street parking is going to be. Our concern is on-street parking. And with 15 vehicles, if you are familiar with 2nd Street, between Dolphin and Excel, The street is basically 21 feet wide. A parked vehicle with a mirror on one side, because one driver's side might be next to the ditch, but you have a parked vehicle with a mirror on the driver's side sticking out in the street. That takes up about 8.5 feet of the street right away. Second Street is 21 feet wide. And so you put a parked vehicle on the side, that's 8.5 feet. And now you have two vehicles driving up and down the road up and down 2nd Street, coming from the hospital up towards the school, passing each other, and a vehicle is about 6.5 feet wide, a car or truck, 7 feet, and you have two vehicles passing. So there you go, there's 13, 14 feet plus 8.5 for the parked vehicle on the side with the mirror sticking out. There's not room. To have this parking on that street, there is no room. The people on your committee need to go walk up there, take a measuring tape with them, and look. I mean, I'm telling you, it's that simple, and it's going to be very, very dangerous if you grant this, and it just does not even make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
They're proposing to providing 15 spaces. What does code require them to have?
The ordinance right now says two per unit.
So they would be required to have 30 spaces.
Correct.
By code.
The ordinance as it stands right now says 2 per dwelling.
Okay.
The new ordinance that is, and I'm not going to confuse this with the new ordinance or old ordinance, because I hate that when we do that, because we don't know about that new one. When this whole project took off, it was the new ordinance in that zone would have only required 1 for each. Because when we made it downtown commercial, or what we wanted to call it. So right now, as the ordinance stands, they're supposed to have 2 per dwelling. And in answer to Doug's concerns, their parking is not on the street. Their parking is on their own property, and cars will be parked perpendicular. The parking spaces on 2nd Street are perpendicular to 2nd Street, so they would be drive-in and then back out onto 2nd Street. And then the parking spaces on Excel Street are perpendicular to the street also. So none of them are parallel parking with the street. They're all perpendicular parking to the street. So that's the layout as it is proposed.
Okay. I just want to get a little clarification there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Sally again with another question. Chris?
Yes, Sally.
We didn't receive any kind of schematic showing the parking plan with our packet, and I'm just really curious. I just don't feel comfortable without seeing it.
Okay.
I Chris?
Yeah,
Sally, I just want to explain to Sally, as I stated before, along the full width of the lot of the building, there are 9 spaces perpendicular on 2nd Street, and one of them is handicapped from both sides. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 spaces perpendicular to Excel Street in the front of the building, or I guess that would be considered the front of the building. It'll be it's a horseshoe shape in the courtyard. So as far as the schematic goes, it's pretty easy to see 9 spaces perpendicular to the end of the building there. The building stops 20-some feet short of the property line, 9 spaces perpendicular between the building and 2nd Street.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
It would have solved questions if we could have had the schematic.
So continuing on with the group at the Trask residence, I will be unmuting Lila.
Okay.
Okay, Lila.
I just need a clarification too. After you said that there was supposed to be 2 cars or 30 cars, so is what Swell asking for right now is to not have to do the extra 15? Is that what they're trying to buy their way out of?
That is what they are proposing to do, and it's buy their way out of is one term, but following the ordinance would be the other one.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so they still will have the original 15 lots or parking spaces on their property, but they're asking not to be required to do the extra 15. Is that what this is about?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
On our street.
So,
Sorry, Layla, I accidentally muted you. Hold on. Can you unmute yourself? How about now?
okay.
There we go.
Sorry.
Sorry. I guess we were just thinking that they were not going to offer any when they were asking to not have to do the 15. So we were really concerned. It still is a problem, if there's more cars than 15. It is a busy place. I mean, our place always has cars around it. Dolphin always has cars. It is a busy place, and to have just 15 places, if everybody had a car or more, then, and it's already full in front with hospital people on Excel. So I think it's just still something that you need to think about and be concerned about is where are those cars going to go? So that's our concern. Thank you.
When are you going to have a public meeting?
Will there be a public meeting at all? Is this just this is it, right?
This is a public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
We'll go to city council.
I would, this is Grant again. Can I weigh in one more time?
Yes.
I would like you to bring a message on behalf of all of the residents, as well as, again, the hospital, where, again, there's maybe 50 or 60 people working there every day with cars, generally dedicated parking space, but not always. And then same way between teachers and students in 3 schools on the other side of LLC's property that are going to be at least another 50 cars, mostly on parking, but yet still maybe a third of it is on public streets already. So that's why I bring up congestion. And I would like to think that there is a way that LLC should be able to get out of this. It's probably been 15 years ago that I thought of, gee, if I were to own an apartment building here, look at the lay of the land. It's high up on the 2nd Street, and it's low at the bottom of Excel, where the property adjoins the communications business. And at that lower spot, you could have an entrance and an exit for underground parking. It's ideal by the lay of the land. Another is the cost of it would probably not be any worse than what they plan to put into it now. If you're going to be excavating and backfilling with rock, that's still expensive stuff. But if you're going to be excavating and pouring concrete, you have a permanent installation underneath the building that you'd never have to worry about. So I would like that information, and I would personally, as well as representing other residences, why that is not a feasible plan, and that LLC had not considered underground parking. I'm not convinced that public parking is any kind of an answer when they have their problem put onto the local residents and the hospital and the school complex. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Chris, this is Sally. I have another comment. I would also like to include the Elks, the Tide Fin, GCI, the Moose, and Hammer and Weekon employees all use that area, especially the Elks and the Moose They use it in the evening, and that would be when most of the cars would be looking for places to park.
Mm-hmm.
A question I sent out by email this morning to everybody was, Joe and Liz might have the answer for this, but do we actually have a trust account for parking? Is there actually funding in it to actually build something?
Melanie, this is Joe, if I can answer, Chris.
Yes, go ahead.
As far as I know, there's nothing right now. Little history, this, as far as I know, in my time here, and I've been here a couple of years, this ordinance has only been invoked once in my time, and that was by the Tides Inn. They used to have underground parking in their complex, and when they decided they wanted to turn that basement into a meeting slash they wanted to breakfast or something they wanted to do there that Gloria Homer wanted to do. She had to buy, I believe it was, whatever parking spaces got displaced under there. There wasn't very many. There was 4 or 5, maybe, something like that. So they invoked this, and it was many, many years ago when they did that remodel. So they actually used this ordinance to their advantage, so they could convert that into usable space for the building, and that didn't. That didn't help parking there anywhere either. So, but it has been done before, right in that same neighborhood. And as far as what I understand is that once this, if it's approved, it would be up to Jody and LLC to work out a trust agreement, and then how time frame for it, and the logistics of the monies and where it goes and how long it sits there and what can be used for it and that kind of stuff. That would come into the trust agreement between the borough and Swell LLC. Does that make sense, Sally? That kind of.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's just as far as I know, and whatever happened to that money back when the Tides Inn had to use this ordinance is probably a mystery. I don't know whether it's still sitting out there somewhere or if it ever got returned, because there's something about if it doesn't get used 15 years, it reverts back to the applicant. But I don't know how that's going to work. That's going to come into the trust agreement, I guess.
That's actually part of the 19.64.120B2.
Yeah.
That after 15 years, if nothing has happened, it gets back.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, I think it's been more than 15 years since they remodeled under the Tides Inn, but I don't know whether it happened to that money that was put into a fund back then.
Right. Right.
Okay, so John Swanson is about to be unmuted.
Okay.
Okay, John? You need to unmute yourself there, John.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, just before you are done with the public comment, I just wanted to go online and saying that I'm against the variance, buying the variance. The adjacent property owners right now with the school uses up some of that daytime parking, but really fortunate they're gone in the early afternoon, and so it tentatively works out okay. But in the apartment building, some of those apartment units, you're going to have people with two cars in the whole thing. And I see some Grant's been doing some good thinking on the underground, but to just have the 15 spots, there's going to be the overflow, especially probably the ones that are dead vehicles. They'll go to the surrounding property owners, and if not, the hospital lot. And that lot is maxed out presently, especially once this COVID is over and people are returning more often to the hospital. It's some days you make the loop in their parking lot looking for that one spot. So there's an impact already to make it. You throw 15-unit apartment building in the area, and you're just intensifying that. And so that's just wanted to be on record at that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I do not see any other hands raised. A moment, Doug. Okay, I have unmuted the Trask frame. Good, Doug?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I was just going to ask a question. If you, the city, could provide to the public a drawing showing the right-of-way that we're talking about on 2nd Street, show the width of the street and the ditch and the property lines of and then on this drawing show the required width of a parking space on the one side of the street, the lower side of 2nd Street, with a vehicle parked there, and then show 2 vehicles driving up and down the street passing each other alongside of the parked vehicle. Do you understand my question?
Yeah.
The drawing, the sketch would show 3 vehicles side by side on the street right away, 1 parked and 2 passing, allowing for the width of the mirrors and everything else. So I would like the city to provide a drawing to the public so that we can see and then we're comfortable that you understand the width that we're talking about, the lack of space available. Thank you.
Space that gets smaller too when there's snow. You know, if we get a lot of snow.
Exactly. Yes. Excellent point.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Karen, do we have any further testimony?
I do not see any hands raised.
This is John DeGrew. Do you see my hand raised?
Yep.
No, but you're
Okay.
muted, so go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. My name is John DeGrew. I work with Glenn. I'm one of the developers. And what we typically do is we try to discourage 2 cars in a lot of these developments because you're right. What typically happens is the second car is usually not as nice as the first one. So and a lot of times we try to scale back on parking just so you don't have an issue with cars. Now what we will do if everyone is this much concerned with parking on the street is we will limit the leases to people that just have 1 vehicle. If they have a second vehicle, then we can say they're not allowed to park within so many feet of this property on the street, or they have to be required to have paid parking someplace.
Which there is none.
Well, we could limit the leases to just people with one vehicle, and they won't ever be allowed to park another vehicle except for that 1 vehicle on this property. We do have another lot down the street that we have purchased that if there is an issue with people violating that type of a lease, we could arrange for parking there. But we picked this lot because of the proximity to town, and we found that a lot of the tenants don't have cars, especially in this income level. And so, and as far as addressing your question about parking underneath, it's just too cost prohibitive. The cost to build in Petersburg is very expensive. The cost of lumber is through the roof, and I even think that it would be very challenging engineering to get 30 spaces under a building. You've got height restrictions, and so I just don't think I don't think it would fit. I don't think you could get 30 spaces there, and if you did, underground parking typically costs almost as much as a full build out of a floor. Then you've got turning radiuses, and I just think it would be then you'd have more cars entering and exiting the facility.
So what we proposed, though, is we could make some restrictions on the lease, just to limit it to 1 car per resident.
Thank you.
Do we have your word on that?
We can put it in the lease, and we can put it in agreement with any type of parking agreement with the city. We'll back up anything we have said in writing, and we would put that in the agreement with the city.
Any further questions?
If they had a guest come with their own car, then you've got 2 cars also. You know, the person in residence, and then if they had guests, then you still have 2 cars.
Thank you, Heather.
We need to have a motion.
Okay. Can somebody make a motion? I would propose making a motion to continue this till our next meeting and hope that we can get some drawings of what's proposed.
I'll make that move.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
This is Richard.
Yeah.
I actually know this area very well because of I live near the area as well. And one of the things that I'm very familiar with the congestion issues. The dance hall is right across from my property, and that hasn't even been brought up in this meeting, but that in alone has been problematic with parking, especially in the afternoons, in the times of not COVID. I don't know. I'll support the current motion, but I ultimately I don't see voting in favor of this unless it's at least 1.5 cars per unit.
Thank you, Richard. Any other comments?
Well, this is Glenn. I think delaying it doesn't help us very much. I mean, I think going into this, I guess, a little bit misled. We thought that we were getting a building permit today. We've got our plans completely done. We've got our contractor lined up and ready to start. And so we thought that this was kind of something that had already pretty much been sorted out. So delaying this for us is not a very good solution. Sounds like a lot of the community is not in favor of this particular parking arrangement. I think we're trying to work with the community whatever way we can. We'd really like to get some type of resolution today. Ken.
Chris, this is Sally. May I speak?
Yes. Sally.
I don't feel that we should be voting on this today when we're going blind. I need something in front of me so that I can visualize. I know the area very well. I was born and raised on 2nd Street on the other corner over on Fram. There's 3 churches in the area, the dance studio. I mean, there's a ton of stuff there. And I just don't feel it's right to go into it without knowing exactly what we're voting for.
Now, this is Glenn again. I can pass around plans electronically to everybody on the call. We've had our final plans into the city for several weeks, and we've had preliminary plans that haven't changed the parking for months. So I'm frustrated that everybody on the call doesn't have our information. We are totally transparent about it. Everybody's welcome to have it.
Can I speak, Chris?
Yes, Joe.
John is right, and I don't understand, I guess, the frustration with everybody that they haven't been apprised of this plan. I've been working with John and Glenn and Hildy on these plans. They've come back. We've had partial plans, everybody knew this was on the list and on the agenda here. And anybody and everybody in town could have come here and got a set of plans or gotten a copy from me if they wanted to. And I'm surprised, though, that we come to this 11th hour and everybody says they haven't seen any of this. So that's kind of, I agree with John and his frustration, because it hasn't been anything secret that this was coming on the agenda, what it was all about, and the fact that the plans have been sitting here. I've got them sitting right in front of me right now, and that's.
Chris, may I speak?
I'm just confused as to.
Let Joe finish, please.
What the frustration is with not seeing this visually, because anybody that is on this commission could have seen these plans anytime in the past several months if they wanted to.
Sally?
This is Sally. May I speak?
Yes.
I picked my plans or my meeting packet up Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. When I got home and read it, the office was closed. Monday was a holiday. This was the first time I have seen anything on this. Normally, when we get a variance request, we have maps, we have schematics, we have approvals, we have recommendations from the building department, and this is just all we have here is one little letter from Valhalla LLC. That's all I have in my packet. So I don't think the onus is on us. I think the onus is on whoever put the packet together or advised them what to put in the packet, because it's sorely lacking.
This is Joe again. This is not a variance request. This is just a request for to use the ordinance as it is written in front of us here.
Mm-hmm.
Without any backup. That's what I'm getting at. Normally we have a full packet of information that we can make a good decision on.
No, I said that the information has been here for quite some time, and it has been available to anybody that wanted it. I'm not. That makes me. I feel bad for John, because it makes me sound like I haven't, dispersed this information to everybody. But it's been available to anybody that wanted it. Carl's had it for a while.
We knew about it. The only thing I knew about was the houses got torn down last month and somebody flew a drone over it taking pictures. That's it. That's all I knew about it.
Now the provision is available in the ordinance, so they're not doing anything that is not above board here.
We're not insinuating they are. We're just asking for visual clarification.
If I had the technology, I could share a screen and send you visual verification, but I can't do that.
I know you would, Joe.
Yeah. Anybody else have any further comments?
I have a question.
Yes. Nancy?
I'm seeing here that Sally's letter that there's congested parking with the hospital and clinic employees, Hammered Recon employees, mental health employees, GCR, Elks Moose, and the museum. And I wonder why the onus for parking, available parking, is only being put on the LLC and not some of these people. And I understand there's a requirement for off-street parking for everyone, and when the spillover of employees need to park somewhere else on the street, or in the winter in the museum's parking, museum that was designated for the museum, that it just doesn't seem right to me that the LLC is the only group that has to explain their over parking. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, Nancy.
I suppose some places were just grandfathered in because they were built maybe before ordinances changed or something? I don't know.
It's my understanding that commercial places have always been required to have off-street parking of a certain amount for employees and customers and whoever. I wonder when that went by the wayside.
Yeah, well, I don't remember the logistics, but I sure know that when the Tides Inn opted out of in their parking requirements to when they lost those spaces and remodeled, there sure wasn't this amount of opposition to that. I mean, it seemed like it was a no-brainer. Yeah, they need space. They're going to do this. They're going to lose 3, 4, 5 parking spaces, put them out on the street for a how many unit apartment building or hotel, and there wasn't a whole lot of complaining then.
Tides Inn was a different nature, though. The Tides Inn is a hotel where people don't traditionally have cars, or a lot of their guests don't have cars. This is an apartment complex where people are going to live and want to own a car.
Mm-hmm. There's still parking requirements for a hotel, though. I'm not going to make that. I'm just saying it just doesn't seem like they use the same ordinance and that the LLC is trying to use right now too.
Any further comments?
Well,
yes, Nancy.
it also seems to me that if there's a parking congestion issue on that block of 2nd Street between Dolphin and Excel, that block couldn't be made one way. And that way there wouldn't be an issue of cars passing each other.
Whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
It's a solution, at least for one block.
This is John McGrew. Can I say something again?
Go ahead.
What do you guys think about limiting the parking to one car per tenant? And then we also have another lot that currently, we purchased, and we purchased that just for consideration if there was an overparked situation. So we have an extra lot that we could provide parking, and we also could limit the parking to one unit. And if they did have, for some reason, another car, we could put it on that other lot. Give them a parking pass for the other lot. I mean, we can work to solve the issue. I think trying to put the parking on the lot itself would be cost prohibitive. I mean, if we did that, could we? I mean, we've got a contractor ready to go. Would that be something that you guys would consider?
What is the location in the south or the 2nd Street other lot?
Glenn, do you know the legal?
I can give it to you, John. I can tell you this. It's the lot right across from the that was A&B Hall, right on the corner there, next to the Midcop Hotel.
Pat Weaver's old lot?
Yes.
Is that Pat Weaver's old lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have purchased that lot. What's that?
Your guess, that's pretty far to walk.
It's a couple blocks away, but I've been into some cities too. Sometimes you have to walk a couple blocks. Try downtown, try Seattle. No, that was it. I'm saying that is an option.
Yeah.
And it isn't uphill or downhill or anything, so that works with that portion of it. These people are lazy; they don't want to walk uphill.
We are willing and to do that, and we will, put a dedicated parking agreement on that lot until sometime. That if another parking solution comes up or the code changes or whatever, but we're willing to do that, and we will put in our leases that if anybody, we will limit it to one car. We'll make exceptions if they agree to use the other lot and not park on the street.
Any other commissioners' discussion? Thoughts?
Can Karen read back the motion that's open?
I believe the motion's to continue right now.
That's what I thought, yeah, until we get more information.
Is it possible to take a recess for, say, 30 minutes while Karen sends out the information?
I'd call for the question.
Karen?
All righty. Richard?
No.
Sally?
No.
Oh. So we're voting to continue right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Heather?
I vote yes to continue.
Nancy?
Yes.
Chris?
I'd vote yes. So right now the motion, we've got 3 to continue, 2 against, so that motion fails. We want to do, can we do another motion on whether or not to, another motion? I see Joe sharing plans with us.
That's very helpful.
Yes.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, that's the plans I just took off on my desk. Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I can not only get my camera working, I can screen share. That is a picture. Obviously, I took it. I outlined the parking spaces, and that's kind of the outline of the building. So you can see on Excel Street, there's one on the left there, and then there's 5 more in front of the courtyard. Then going up 2nd Street, you can see the striped lines. That there's a handicap spot right between 9 and, I don't know which one, 9 or 10, or maybe both of them are handicapped. And one that would be the van unloading spot, and then right up to the back. The property line is would be right at the tail end. I don't know if you can, right at I think that might be the dumpster there or something. I don't know. But anyhow, that's the parking layout between 2nd and Excel Street.
And so those
Joe, I'm on a landline.
Those parking spaces are completely off of the right-of-way.
Well, Sally, I can email it to you.
Joe?
Or I can text it to you if you want.
Yeah, I've just gone to the computer and turned it on. I'd like to get an email if I could.
Yeah, I can. You want me to email? Because I can do that. That's how I was able to do this. But anyhow, that's the best I can do for right now. Forward. Then we can get a picture of it. There, it should be coming. coming, Sally. But
Yeah, my computer's just warming up.
yeah.
Joe, I have another quick question too. Is how big is that other lot that they have?
Do you know, John?
Let me look here real quick.
I think it's probably 100 by 100, but I'm not sure. I mean, I got my.
And it's really slopey. It's a hill.
Yeah, it would have to do some.
Oh, it's been filled.
Yeah, it's all filled, but it's got some different elevations, but it could be turned into a parking lot pretty easily.
It's currently being used as a parking lot.
Yeah, there's lots of vehicles in there.
Yeah, I parked there.
And just for clarification, this lot's on what corner?
It's the corner of Joa and First.
And then Yoa.
Yeah.
First and Yoa.
First and Joa.
Okay.
Yoa.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I move to approve this so long with the condition that the leases are limited to one spot per unit and requiring the second parking lot. And then I would also like to put a review period of 5 years from now on whether or not that second lot is needed 5 years after this is approved.
Thank you, Richard. Do we have a second?
Yes. Second.
Hey, Karen, you want to call the question? Or call the roll call?
Sally?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
And I'd like to thank Joe for sending that email to me. And I can see, I need a visual. I'm a very visual person. That makes a lot of sense to me now.
Yes, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. I said it just, and maybe I could have, gotten it to you earlier, but I didn't even think I needed a picture, but I'm glad it worked out. And I'm glad I'm tech savvy now too. I can share a screen.
You're better than me.
Okay, moving on. We have non-agenda items. Do we have any commissioner comments? I think we're going to hold off on election of positions until the next meeting so that we can see if there are any appointments before we do election of officers at that point. Any staff comments?
None for me.
All right, our next meeting is November 10th at 12 p.m. I should be in town and available if we're back in person or on Zoom, either way. So, anybody else know what their schedule is?
I hope I'll be here. Barring unforeseen incidents, I'll be here.
I should be here. This is Sally.
Yep.
No, I should be here.
Hopefully.
Hopefully? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it sounds like we'll easily have a quorum, so that should work. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So moved.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.